7 miraculous truths revealed to make you spiritually untouchable and divine in your journey. As the sun fell behind the ancient chapel, an ethereal glow enveloped the quaint village. Clara, a devoted mother with a heart full of faith, stood before her family, their candle casting flickering shadows on the walls. In whispers, fervent prayers leapt from her lips, invoking the intercession of St. Jude, the savior for the desperate. But Clara's faith faced a stormy trial, one that would challenge her very essence. Her son, Daniel, once a lively spark of laughter, was now a ghostly shadow, bedridden by a baffling illness. Doctors scratched their heads, skepticism glimmering in their eyes. Their helplessness crushed Clara. Each visit sent fresh waves of despair cascading over her heart. In her darkest moment, she found an unexpected glimmer of light, a community revival. The visiting pastor, bathed in a soft glow, shared an urgent message. 7 miraculous truths will make you spiritually untouchable. Each word felt like a heartbeat of divine promise resonating in Clara's soul. You could feel the electric atmosphere vibrating through the chapel as he spoke of resilience, healing, and a faith so powerful it could move mountains. Trust in the mysterious ways God reveals himself, he urged, as he recounted tales of hope that stirred the deepest parts of the heart. With the pastor's words echoing through her mind, Clara felt a surge of purpose. She gathered the villagers, not in despair, but in fervent hope. Under the chapel's steadfast roof, they held hands, forming a circle around Clara's trembling heart. Their voices rose like a sacred melody, harmonizing into a chorus of belief that started to ignite the air with possibility. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. The prayers intensified, growing loud and resounding, pushing aside the doubts hanging in the air like thick fog. Clara's heart raced as hope fluttered around her like a butterfly awakening in spring. On the very edge of despair, she clung fiercely to those 7 truths, connecting them to every breath she took. Each day, Daniel remained unchanged, but the collective spirit of her village began to blossom anew. And then came the moment of greatest spiritual impact. On a crisp evening, following another day of heartfelt prayers, Clara rushed towards the warm glow of the chapel. As the congregation embraced stillness, a palpable electricity danced in the air.
The wooden doors swung open, and Clara looked around. The villagers held their collective breath. A sudden gasp flooded the chapel as Daniel's eyes fluttered. A soft smile broke across his pale face, light pouring back into his spirit, as if he had returned from the depths of night. A tidal wave of joy surged around Clara, her heart racing. Yet amidst the jubilant praises, a sacred tension lingered. Was this the miracle the pastor promised? Clara wondered if this healing was merely the beginning of understanding God's greater purpose. As the village erupted in joyous worship, she felt the weight of unanswered questions hanging tantalizingly in the air, a divine enigma waiting to unveil itself. What lay ahead for them all? In the days that followed, Clara found herself in a wondrous whirlwind. Daniel's laughter reverberated through their home, filling spaces that had grown quiet with worry. Each chuckle was like music, lifting spirits and weaving threads of hope throughout the village. Clara watched as neighbors came together, inspired by their shared miracle. No longer were they merely individuals. They were a tapestry of faith woven under the canopy of divine intervention. But this was not the end of Clara's journey. Deep within her, seeds of questions took root. Why had Daniel suffered so long? Was this healing merely a momentary gift, or the first step towards something more profound? Each day she sought the face of God in every prayer, yearning to understand what lessons lay ahead. One breezy morning, the sun breaking through clouds like a beacon of hope, she decided to return to the chapel. As she walked, she felt a lightness in her heart, yet an urgency to seek deeper truths. She needed clarity, a deeper connection with the divine. The villagers, sensing her need, began gathering for moments of shared reflection. Sitting in the chapel together, they shared their personal stories of struggle and triumph. It became a sacred space where they could open their hearts without fear of judgment. They discussed faith,
the challenges they faced, and how they each had felt the hand of God guiding them even in the darkest of times. Clara, a gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. It was old Mrs. Parker, well respected in the village for her wisdom. Have you ever wondered why God takes us through the valley? Sometimes our trials prepare us for greater blessings, she said, her eyes twinkling with understanding. Clara pondered those words deeply. But how do we make sense of our pain? She whispered, her voice trembling. Mrs. Parker smiled softly. Pain is like God's touchstone. It reveals the strength we didn't know we had and leads us closer to his heart. Sometimes we must lose ourselves before we truly find him. The chapel filled with murmurs of agreement from the villagers, each nodding as if they shared in a collective epiphany. Clara's spirit soared, and a new determination glimmered within her.
They turned their attention back to prayer, but this time it felt different. A tapestry of voices united with purpose. As days turned into weeks, Daniel continued to flourish. However, Clara sensed she was being beckoned deeper still. Her experiences of joy were mingled with whispers of the divine, calling her to dive into a realm of understanding where unconditional love and sacrificial surrender danced hand in hand. One night, illuminated only by the flickering candlelight, Clara knelt beside Daniel's bedside, her heart racing with resolve. Lord, she breathed, if this is a journey to greater understanding, grant me patience and clarity. Show me what you desire of our lives. Just then, the tiny radio in the corner crackled to life, breaking the silence with an old hymn, He Will Hold Me Fast. As the words washed over her, Clara felt an overwhelming presence fill the room, comforting, loving, as if God himself had wrapped his arms around them. Daniel stirred, murmuring softly, eyes fluttering open. Clara gasped, suddenly aware of the poignancy of the moment. Could this be another revelation of God's purpose? When the hymn faded, a stillness settled, leaving Clara with a profound sense of expectation. She knew that the journey wasn't just about healing, but about transformation, an awakening yet to come. Would Clara and her family uncover the profound wisdom behind their trials? What divine mysteries would reveal themselves next? As dawn broke over the horizon, Clara was stirred awake by a gentle warmth that filled their modest room. It was as if the sun's first rays were laced with promises of hope, whispering delicate truths into her heart. She rose quietly, careful not to disturb Daniel, who was still lost in peaceful slumber, a testament to the grace that had recently graced their lives. Stepping outside, Clara inhaled the crisp morning air. Each breath was vibrant, alive, a reminder of the miracle that had breathed new life into both her family and the village. She could hear the soft hum of nature awakening, a symphony orchestrated by the Creator. It was a beautifully normal day, yet Clara felt an undercurrent of something extraordinary just beneath the surface. That morning, she wandered down the familiar path to the chapel, where her heart had found solace in prayer and the wisdom of shared stories. As she approached, she noticed a gathering outside. Faces reflected a mix of anticipation and reverence, a collective yearning for something beyond themselves. Clara joined them, her heart beating faster with the electric energy crackling in the air. "Clara," called Sarah, a neighbor who had been a pillar of strength for her during Daniel's illness. "You have to come see." Curiosity piqued, Clara followed the crowd toward the chapel door, her heart racing. Inside was a beautiful display of flowers, candles, and a painted wooden cross they had all contributed to, a symbol of unity, a faith born from trials. It was meant to honor Daniel's healing, but felt like a tribute to the entire village's journey, a reminder that they had all walked through struggles together. As Clara absorbed the scene, she felt the presence of those sacred moments they had shared. Each of their stories had been like stones, carefully placed to form a bridge over the turbulent waters of doubt and despair. She was both a part of this tapestry, yet felt an awakening within her, a call to seek further, not just for herself, but for others who were still lost in the depths of their own valleys. With resolve, she stepped forward, her voice steady yet soft. "Everyone, I know we've come together to celebrate a miracle today, but let us not forget the purpose behind our healing. Each trial we face is an opportunity to grow, to understand God's heart more deeply." The villagers nodded slowly, resonating with her words. Clara continued, "Let's not keep this light to ourselves. Let's be diligent in our journeys, even when the path is steep. I believe that our shared stories can bring comfort and hope,
not just to us, but to others who feel broken, lost. A ripple of murmurs followed, the group feeling a shift. Clara had become a vessel, speaking words that ignited flames of understanding within them. "Let's meet here regularly, not just to share our joys, but our burdens too," Clara suggested, her heart swelling with passion. "Together we can dive deeper into faith, not just for moments of relief, but for deeper transformations." As the villagers voiced their support, Clara felt a sudden surge of warmth envelop her. It was as if God were affirming her thoughts. In that moment, she felt undeniably connected to something greater, like each heartbeat echoed the pulse of a loving God. Suddenly, amidst the celebration of their healing, Clara felt the faintest shadow of doubt creeping in. Was she really ready for this? What if the trials would return, shaking their newfound ground? But just as that thought emerged, she felt the warmth encompassing her, whispering truth and igniting fire within her spirit. "We are stronger together. We must face whatever comes, united in faith." But even as her heart surged with hope, she sensed that this was only the beginning. What challenges lay ahead for Clara and the village? What divine encounters awaited them on this uncharted journey of faith and community? As the days rolled on, Clara and the villagers gathered regularly at the chapel, their hearts entwined like vines reaching toward the heavens. With each meeting, they shared stories of joy and sorrow, cultivating an atmosphere thick with love and understanding. The warmth Clara felt that morning now flourished, growing into a brilliant light that illuminated their paths together. One bright afternoon, Clara noticed a familiar face lingering at the fringe of their circle. It was Joseph, a man known for his unyielding spirit, yet he now wore a countenance heavy with unspoken burdens.
The others were deep in a discussion about faith and hope, but Clara felt an urgent tug in her heart to reach out to him. "Joseph," she called softly, stepping away from the group, "would you care to share what's on your mind?" He hesitated, then met her gaze. "Clara, my heart is restless. I'm grateful for the blessings we've seen, but my daughter, she still struggles with her illness. I feel lost. Will our prayers truly reach God's ears?" His words hung in the air like a heavy fog, yet Clara realized she had stumbled upon a truth many of them were grappling with. She sensed the gentle prompting of the Holy Spirit, guiding her to speak. "Joseph, every prayer we utter, every tear we shed, they do reach him," she affirmed. "But it's also in our waiting that growth happens. Our trials are not without purpose. Even now, your faith in this moment can empower not just you, but those around you. Don't let worry choke your hope. Instead, let it increase your love." The weight on Joseph's shoulders seemed to lift slightly as understanding dawned upon him. Murmurs of agreement coursed through the crowd, and Clara could see that her words sparked a flicker of faith within his heart. Just then, a gust of wind flowed through the chapel, rustling the flowers and candles, as if an unseen presence was sweeping over them all. Several villagers turned their faces upward, a shared sense of awe quietly enveloping their gathering. Clara felt an electric thrill rush over her. This was more than a meeting, it was a powerful act of worship. As the group resonated in a moment of silence, Clara's thoughts turned inward. She wondered about the potential for divine encounters in their community, what miracles might unfold as united in their vulnerability. "Let's take a moment to pray for each other," Clara suggested gently, her voice wrapping warmly around them. "Let's lift our burdens as offerings to God, trusting that He hears every cry, every whisper." Each person took a turn, their voices merging into a harmonious prayer. Some cried out with desperation, while others spoke tenderly, sharing glimmers of hope. Clara's heart soared as she listened, the collective vulnerability creating a sacred bond. She realized that communal prayer was like a tapestry woven with threads of individual stories. Each thread was essential to the picture God was designing. As the session came to a close, Clara discerned a sudden stillness within herself. Was this the calm before a storm? The thought danced through her mind, stirring excitement yet a hint of apprehension. She sensed something bigger lurking on the horizon. "Remember, friends," Clara said, her voice as steady as her resolve, "our journey will have its shadows, yet in our darkest moments, that's when we seek the brightest light. Stay true to this fellowship. We're stronger together." With nods of affirmation, Clara felt the pulse of her community beating in unison.
Each member of her village had become a beacon, illuminating the way forward. But as they stepped outside into the fading light, she could not shake a growing sense of urgency within her spirit. Something pivotal was about to unfold. What surprise awaited them as they pressed deeper into their faith? Would their trials transform into testimonies of divine power? The air felt charged with expectation, and Clara knew the journey was just beginning, led by an unshakable trust in God's plan. The sun dipped below the horizon, leaving a tapestry of colors streaked across the sky, painting everything in hues of hope. As Clara walked alongside Joseph, the village bustled with an energy she hadn't seen before. The air was thick with anticipation and prayer, a blend of nervousness and faith simmering just beneath the surface. "Clara," Joseph broke the stillness between them as they walked. "Do you really think the Lord has a plan for my daughter?" His voice quivered, revealing the layer of fear he hadn't quite shaken off. Clara turned to him, her heart swelling with compassion. "Absolutely, Joseph. God knows her heart, her fight, and He sees yours too. Sometimes the waiting is the hardest part, but that waiting can bring about the greatest faith." Their eyes met, and she saw a flicker of hope reigniting within him. After a moment, Joseph nodded, his features softening slightly. Sensing this was a pivotal moment, Clara suggested they gather others and walk into the meadow behind the chapel. The beauty of nature often had a way of drawing hearts closer to the divine. The villagers followed, their footsteps echoing the rhythm of collective faith. As they settled under the gathering twilight, Clara looked around at the faces illuminated by fading light. Each one held their own burdens and their own stories, wrapped up in the larger narrative that God was crafting. "Let us speak our dreams as well as our fears," Clara encouraged. Each whisper captures his attention. One by one they shared. Mary spoke of her longing for a child, her voice steady but laced with vulnerability. Others confessed their struggles with doubt, financial worries, and health concerns. Clara listened intently, her spirit weaving through the stories, sensing a divine connection forming like a strong cord among them. As Joseph shared his daughter's journey, Clara noticed how each word he spoke seemed to resonate deeply, harmonizing with the burdens each villager carried. Their raw honesty cultivated an atmosphere ripe for transformation. Sometimes, Clara interjected, inspired, "What we see as broken can be the very doorway to something miraculous. In our brokenness, He shows His strength. Just as He turned water into wine, He can turn our sorrow into joy." A whisper of agreement rustled through the group, igniting something deeper. Clara felt the environment shift as if the wind itself had shifted, swirling around them like a gentle embrace.
Suddenly, a flicker of brilliant light lit up the sky, piercing through the remain foreboding darkness. Gasps escaped the mouths of the villagers. Clara looked up, her breath caught in her throat. "Is it?" someone murmured, incredulous, pointing to the glowing cloud overhead. The light seemed to pulse with intention, a reminder that they were not alone in their struggles, not alone in their prayers. Clara's heart raced. Could this be the sign they had been waiting for? "We must rejoice," she cried, raising her arms toward the heavens. "This is a sign of hope, of God's presence with us." As the villagers joined her, voices rising and hearts swelling with collective praise, joy and tears intertwined in a beautiful dance of worship. The moment brought a sweet unity, a connection only the divine could create. But in the thread of unity came an unexpected thread of challenge, too. Clara felt a tremor in her spirit. A quiet voice urged her to look deeper, to seek more than just that surface joy. "Remember, my friends," she said as the exuberance slightly calmed, "this promise of light is meant to draw us into deeper faith. What do we need to release so we can truly move forward?" Silence blanketed the group once more, the beauty of possibility hanging suspended in the air. Clara sensed it. A crucial turning point had opened up before them, teetering on the edge of something profound. What deeper truths about their faith would emerge from the shadows of their worries? Would they be willing to face the challenges that lay ahead, trusting in the light guiding them? The divine mystery lingered, waiting to be uncovered. Clara's words hung in the cool evening air, creating a sacred pause that felt thick with possibility. The radiant glow overhead flickered gently, at times fading, only to reemerge brightly, much like the hope stirring in their hearts. As the silence stretched, it became apparent that a decision loomed, one that could change everything. Mary broke the hush, her voice trembling yet firm. "What if it means letting go of our fears? What if we have to admit our shortcomings?" Her honesty bore weight, cutting through the air like a straight edge. The villagers turned to her, nodding slowly as they processed the depth of her words. "Yes," Clara replied, feeling the pulse of recognition among them.
Admitting our struggles doesn't make us weak. It opens a door for God's strength to flow in. We have to release what binds us. Joseph, moved by the moment, spoke up, voice steadying with newfound conviction. I've been holding on to the idea that I have to figure out everything alone, but what if I surrender my worries about my daughter? If I let him take control, perhaps he'll make a way where there seems to be none. A wave of murmurs, agreement, and affirmations rippled through the gathering. Clara could feel the spiritual current growing stronger.
One by one, they expressed their own barriers, anxieties about their future, disappointments in their pasts, and the weight of expectations, both self-imposed and from others. Each confession felt like a brick lifted from their chests, and hope expanded to fill the void. In the depths of Clara's heart, she could sense the movement of a deeper truth surfacing. The gathering, with their collective struggles, became a metaphorical body, a tapestry woven from diverse threads of faith and fear. She closed her eyes for a heartbeat, tapping into that divine energy swirling around them. God is here among us, she said softly, her voice lifted with warmth. He is our healer, our guide. What if our struggles together turn into tools of His grace? What if we can stand together, allowing His Spirit to lead us beyond our troubles? As Clara spoke, the glowing light illuminated her face, a reflection of the warmth spreading within each villager. The group held their breath, minds forming images of hope blossoming where despair once thrived. Let's take a moment, she began, to pray, but also to listen. What is He asking us to release tonight? Clara closed her eyes, and slowly the others followed suit. Their breaths synchronized, an invisible rhythm pulsing with the earth beneath them. The wind wrapped around them, caressing their faces, urging them to lean into the divine presence. Clara felt the softness in her spirit, a profound awareness settling in her soul. Suddenly, a gentle breeze swirled, and a voice, deep yet tender, echoed in her heart. Release your fear and embrace my joy. The words reverberated. Clara opened her eyes, surprised by the clarity singing in her spirit. The villagers began to stir, their eyes opening as if they had just been awakened from a dream. One by one, they lifted their voices to offer up their fears, like leaves released in autumn, surrendering to a higher purpose. As their burdens dispersed into the air, the sight of their collective freedom stirred something monumental within Clara. They were no longer just individuals carrying their weights. They formed a radiant community ready to be molded by divine intervention. In that sacred space, Clara felt the air shift again, as if the heavens were preparing to unveil more. There was an electric anticipation, what would happen when they next gathered their faith, confronted their fears, and truly opened their hearts. What powerful truths lay ahead in their spiritual journey? Would this new unity lead them toward the miracles they sought? The divine mystery loomed, waiting eagerly to unfold. A gentle hush enveloped the villagers as they released their fears, each whisper a prayer rising to the heavens. Clara watched their faces transformed by a newfound glow, their burdens exchanged for hope. Each heart lay wide open, ready to catch the whispers of the divine. She felt a thrilling energy spark in the air, the promise of guidance waiting just beyond their reach.
Joseph glanced around, trying to absorb the joyous change in the atmosphere. "Do you feel it?" he asked, his voice a mix of disbelief and wonder. "It's like the air is alive with possibility." A few heads nodded, smiles spreading as if to reinforce the truth in his observation. Clara stepped closer, raising her hand to invite their full attention. "Each one of you has voiced your struggle tonight. But do you see? In our weakness, we've made space for God's strength. Let us celebrate that. What if this moment is just the beginning of what He wants to do through us?" As the moonlight bathed the gathered souls, a symphony of laughter and prayer began to emerge, rising as one unified chorus. It filled the evening sky, each note painting their struggles with strokes of light. One by one, they shared snippets of inspiration igniting inside them, revealing bits of divine nudges they'd felt during the silence. "Mary, what did you sense?" Clara asked, noticing the way Mary's eyes sparkled with a fiery hope. "I felt," Mary began, catching her breath, "that I've carried a weight for too long. I felt alone, but tonight I know I'm part of something bigger." Her joy was palpable, and others echoed her sentiments, revealing their collective epiphanies.
This community was indeed a gift from above. Clara's heart swelled with gratitude. Yes, we are here for each other. God is knitting our stories, weaving them into his grand design. Together we can venture into deeper waters. Her words pierced through any lingering doubts, instilling excitement. In that sacred moment of delight, a sudden breeze swept through, carrying with it a presence that was unmistakably divine. Clara felt it brush against her skin, sending tingles of warmth throughout her body. This was not mere coincidence. It was an affirmation from heaven, a sign that their faith was tapping into something profound. Let's not miss this opportunity to ask God what he desires from us, Clara suggested, and she led them in prayer once more. They bowed their heads, hearts mirroring a tapestry of shared desires, unfolding before the divine. With each spirit lifted in prayer, the ground beneath them quivered, an echo of earth meeting heaven. As if responding to their intentions, the clouds above parted slightly, revealing a brilliant star that shimmered with a brightness unlike any they'd ever seen. Some gasped, while others reached for one another in awe. "What does that mean?" whispered Joseph, urgency darting through his voice. "I think," Clara's voice barely rose above the buzzing energy, "that God is showing us the way. But what does he need us to do now? What if we must act on our faith and share our gifts with the world?" With that, silence fell upon them once more. The villagers stood on the cusp of something magnificent, the question lingering in the air like incense. What callings awaited their obedience? How were they to let forth the love of God to the world?
And as Clara's heart raced, she thought of all the undiscovered truths lying ahead. What if this newfound faith propelled them toward miracles beyond their wildest imaginations? The answer hung just beyond their grasp, ready to resound in the quiet night, awaiting their next step forward. With a soft rustle, the wind stirred through the gathering of the villagers, as if it carried whispers of the divine right into their hearts. Clara took a deep breath, her spirit aflame with anticipation. What awaited them beyond this night, this moment when heaven felt so palpably near? "Let's draw close," she urged, motioning for everyone to huddle together. She could sense their hearts beating in tempo with one another. A collective rhythm echoed in the night. Together, we'll seek what God desires from us. As they joined hands, a current of warmth surged through them, a divine energy flowing like a river, binding their intentions into one. "Lord," Clara spoke with quiet authority, "we stand here, vulnerable yet hopeful, eager to step into the purpose you've laid before us." Each word dripped with sincerity, reverberating through the group, igniting their spirits like burning coals. In that hallowed circle, the air thickened with anticipation. Joseph's eyes gleamed as he leaned closer to Clara. "Do you think we're really on the brink of something extraordinary?" His voice held a tremor of excitement mixed with uncertainty. Clara nodded, feeling embers of faith ignite within her. "I believe we are. This is our moment to lean in, to trust. God doesn't give us a glimpse of the path without leading us to it. There's something powerful waiting to be revealed." A rustling sound fluttered around them, and the brilliance of the star overhead brightened, casting a radiant glow upon the villagers. They turned their heads, enchanted by the light that seemed to pulse with life. It danced against their faces, whispering promises and possibilities in a language only their hearts could understand. "Look," Mary gasped softly, raising her arms as if to embrace the luminosity. A murmur rose among them, filled with wonder. The presence of God enveloped them, a sacred wrap of assurance. Tears brimmed in Clara's eyes as she watched her neighbors' faces light up, painted with reflections of hope and purpose. "We cannot let this light go unnoticed," Clara raised her voice, strong and resolute. "We are to be beacons of hope for others, just as we found hope tonight. Let's not keep this to ourselves. This is our call to action." But even as excitement bubbled within the group, a shadow of doubt whispered through Clara's mind. Were they truly equipped for the tasks ahead? Could they be the instruments of God's love in a world often steeped in darkness? A flicker of fear danced at the edges of her faith. Suddenly, the cool night air filled with the sound of gentle laughter, reminding her of the promise of divine companionship.
"Trust," she breathed, recalling the words of a dear mentor. "Faith is the antidote for fear. If we step forward together, God will guide us, as he always has." Just then, a soft voice broke into her reverie. "But how, Clara? What are we really meant to do?" It was Anna, her brow furrowed as she spoke. "What if we fail?" "Failure is simply a part of the journey," Clara replied, locking eyes with Anna, her heart swelling with empathy.
But in our efforts, even in our stumbling, God works through us. He molds our hearts, lays out paths we cannot yet envision. Remember the stories of those who took leaps of faith? Their steps carved highways of hope for generations. The villagers nodded slowly, the fear dissipating like morning mist under the sun. Clara could feel their resolve growing, pulsating as they readied themselves for what lay ahead. As they prayed, they sought clarity. Gradually, visions began to emerge for each person, revealing gifts and talents that had lain dormant, waiting for this very moment to awaken. Together, they dreamed of hospitality, kindness, healing, and spreading love to those in need. Yet even as ideas blossomed, doubt lingered like a heavy fog. If we're to share our gifts, what if the world doesn't respond the way we hope? Came another voice. It echoed with vulnerability, and Clara's heart surged with compassion. What if we put ourselves out there, only to be met with indifference? In that moment of collective hesitation, Clara knew, God's plan isn't limited by human response, it's about our obedience. When we act from a place of love, we sow seeds for His kingdom, one heart at a time. We may not see the fruits immediately, but we trust that they will come. The radiant star above twinkled as if affirming her words, filling the atmosphere with renewed courage. They were more than just a collection of individuals. They were a family destined to uplift each other, a community woven in divine purpose. As they closed their prayer, a sense of resolve filled the air, wrapping around them like a warm blanket. But a question loomed over the horizon. What would be their first step? What piece of heaven was summoned to earth through their willingness? Clara's heart quickened, ready to unearth the mystery that awaited just beyond. What if their actions would ignite a divine revival? Would the world begin to shift because of their faith, their steps of courage? As they stood there, hands entwined, the sweet scent of wildflowers filled the air, blending with the scent of promise. With hearts open and expectations lifted, they prepared to embrace the unknown. But what awaited them in the dawn of this new journey? The first light of dawn crept over the horizon, painting the sky with delicate hues of lavender and gold. Clara felt the warmth on her face, a gentle reminder of hope and the new beginning unfolding before them. She sensed that the air was alive with possibilities, each moment bursting with divine potential.
"Gather closer," Clara called, her voice laced with excitement. She could see the first hints of daylight igniting her neighbors' faces with renewed energy. Today isn't just any day, it's the beginning of a journey we take together. The villagers shuffled, forming a tighter circle, their expressions reflecting a mix of anticipation and nervousness. Clara's heart surged as she looked around at familiar friends and faces, people who meant the world to her. The promise of God's love, alive in each one of them, stirred her spirit anew. What are we meant to do? This question hung thick in the air, more poignant than ever. It was Joseph who spoke, his brow creased in thoughtful determination. How do we begin to share what we felt, to show others this light? Clara paused, absorbing the earnestness of his inquiry. "We begin with simple acts of love," she proposed, her voice steady. "For it's in the small things that great change begins. Let us use our gifts, our talents, however small or grand, to bring hope to those around us." With every word, she felt their collective faith rise, weaving a tapestry of courage as they envisioned their tasks ahead. Mary spoke up, excitement lighting her eyes. "What if we make a meal for the elderly in our village? They often eat alone, and it could be a small act that brings joy to their hearts." The idea sparked an agreement amongst them. "And we can offer free tutoring to the children in need," Anna added, her voice growing brighter. "There are so many who struggle, and we can lighten their burden." One by one, they shared their thoughts, ideas blossoming like spring flowers. Healing through prayer, a community garden for all to gather and grow together, setting up a clothing swap for those in need, each suggestion drifted through the group, wrapped in warmth and purpose. Clara couldn't help but smile as she listened, her heart swelling with gratitude. Amongst the cheer and excitement, a familiar shadow of doubt flickered across her mind. Will it be enough, she thought. But as an answer, a soft breeze enveloped them, rustling the leaves above. Clara took a deep breath, remembering the strength found in unity. "Let's spread out into our community today," she said firmly. "Let every act of kindness be a testimony of His love. Let's trust that in our togetherness, we're capable of far more than we can imagine." The villagers echoed her words with enthusiastic murmurs of agreement. Their hearts were knit together, a collective resolve ignited within the circle as they clasped hands tighter, a silent prayer sending their hopes heavenward. With clear eyes and bright spirits, they broke from their huddle, each person finding a partner or a small group. The sun fully crested the horizon, illuminating their path ahead. Clara felt the sense of adventure coil within her. "We will see change," she declared, and her voice rang with sincerity. "We will embody His love."
But even as they set forth, a question lingered in Clara's heart. What challenges awaited them along their paths of light? Would they encounter resistance or applause as they spilled hope into a hurting world? The villagers set out down the winding roads, hearts brimming with purpose and prayers on their lips. Yet Clara, full of faith, couldn't shake the anticipation that danced at the edge of her consciousness. It was a mystery, one she was eager to unfold. What encounters did God have in store for them that day? Would their small beginnings spark a fire of transformation in their village? Only the unfolding of time would reveal the beauty carved within each step. The sun dipped low, casting a warm glow across the village. Clara, invigorated by the day's actions, gathered with the villagers outside the chapel. Their hearts buzzed from the kindness they had shared, each smile a badge of hope worn proudly. As the warmth enveloped them like a comforting embrace, Clara felt a divine presence brush against her soul. It was time for a celebration, a testament of gratitude for the miracles they had collectively experienced. "Let's share our stories," Clara suggested, her voice reverberating with excitement. "Let's recount the ways God has moved in our hearts and communities. Each story strengthens us, weaving a powerful narrative of faith." Hands clapped in agreement as they formed a circle. One by one, villagers stepped forward, their faces glowing with joy. Joseph began, his voice thick with emotion. "After our gathering, I went home and prayed with my daughter, sharing all the love I felt from everyone here. She smiled, a light in her eyes I hadn't seen in months. Maybe it was just a moment, but I felt God's embrace wrapped around us both." The crowd erupted with amazed murmurs. Clara watched as people nodded in recognition of God's hand at work, their hearts echoing unity. Mary stepped forward next. "I've started helping an elderly neighbor every week. The first time I took her a meal, she cried, saying she hadn't tasted anything made with love in years. It's not just about food, it's about connection." Clara's heart swelled, tears of gratitude stinging her eyes. She felt the air shimmer, charged with shared memories, each testimony becoming a thread, stitching them closer together. The momentum continued. Each individual shared how that small act of kindness had bloomed into something more significant, a compelling reminder of the tangible presence of God in their everyday lives. Clara listened, her heart igniting with warmth. She sensed the transformation of their faith into undeniable action. But then, as voices quieted and a sacred silence settled, an unexpected tension surfaced. "But what happens when we face challenges?" cut through the stillness like a knife. Clara recognized it as the voice of Anna, her brow furrowed, eyes reflecting uncertainty. "What if some people still doubt? What if nothing changes?"
A wave of silence washed over the group, the weight of vulnerability tightening the air around them. Clara felt a pulse of fear at the question, a shadow creeping into her spirit. It was true. Their journey would not be free of challenges. Trials would come, resistance and skepticism were inevitable. But then, like a soft breeze, an answer rose within her. "Faith is not about the absence of fear," she spoke gently, her voice steady, "but the presence of hope in the midst of it. We must anchor ourselves in the truth that God is always with us, that our purpose transcends the obstacles." She felt the conviction fill her heart, an unyielding assurance wrapping around her like a warm quilt. Just as we have shared love and touched hearts, let's be ready to face doubts head on. Let's meet them with grace, understanding, and even more acts of kindness. Our faith can create an environment that drives away darkness. As Clara's words settled in the air, the villagers nodded, understanding dawning. They had become a family committed not just to joy, but to perseverance. The sun dipped further, and a hush fell, as Clara felt an overwhelming sense of unity, love, and purpose wrap around them. "Let us vow to carry this light with us wherever we go," Clara shouted, a call to action resonating in her heart. "Let's be relentless in our love, especially when facing doubt." They nodded in fervent agreement, voices rising like a roaring flame of belief. "We will shine bright. We will not wane." As the last light of day cast an ethereal glow upon the congregation, they clasped hands, forming a powerful circle. Clara felt the weight of their collective promises and desires. "Let our stories be heard. Let our actions set forth waves of change." Then came a whisper, gentle yet affirming. "Trust in me. Your acts of love will bear fruit, even when unseen." As the moon rose above, shimmering down like a blessing, Clara knew their journey was only beginning, a pilgrimage filled with both challenge and triumph. They were not just a village, they were a living testimony of God's work. They looked into the night sky, gazing at the bright star that had guided them. Each heart was now ignited with purpose, ready to face the future. Clara felt a thrilling peace wash over her, ready for whatever was next. So they marched forward, hands intertwined,
hearts aligned, knowing they were not just casting light, they were becoming it. And as they ventured forth, a divine promise echoed in Clara's spirit. Together, you shall illuminate the world. The dawn of their journey was here, and anticipation whirled around them like wind in the trees. Clara silently called to God, "Let us be instruments of your peace, hope, and love." This was their moment, to live out their faith, to reach for the uncharted territories of love and understanding, and she felt, with every fiber of her being, that the best was yet to come. Now is the time for you to take action.
You need to subscribe immediately to our channel so you won't miss the next powerful stories of faith that could change your life forever. Leave a like now. Your support fuels the algorithm. Comment below with your reactions and testimonials about this transformative ending. We want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this incredible manifestation of hope. Don't wait even one more second. As true servants of God, we must spread the light.